Now I want you to imagine that that we're going to make Keith Jesus, okay? Y'all can talk about this later. Yeah. Okay. Now I want you to imagine that I know Jesus and Jesus knows me. We're in a close relationship. Jesus has changed my life. And wherever I go, Jesus goes with me because that's what Jesus does. And so I'm just out, I'm walking around, and I run into this lady. And I get to know Gina. And so we start talking, and Jesus is over here going, are you going to introduce me? Are you going to let me into the conversation? But I'm here talking to Gina, and I'm not sure what she's going to think about if I say, let me tell you about my friend Jesus who's with me. I'm not sure she'll look at me and go, you fool. You know, I don't want to hear about your Jesus. I don't want to hear about your religious stuff or whatever like that. And so I'm standing here and I'm kind of torn. Am I going to bring Jesus into the conversation or am I not? And Jesus is over here like, come on, man, just let me in the conversation. Introduce me. If you get me in the conversation, I would like to get to know Gina just like you. You know, I know you. But it's up to me because I'm the guy in between here. Jesus can't just walk over and say, hi, Gina, I'm Jesus, because he's spirit. He has to be introduced to her through me. And if I choose not to make the introduction, she's not going to know Jesus. And I will walk away from this and say, well, I've met a new friend, but my new friend does not know my closest friend, Jesus. Folks, it's that simple. How many times is Jesus standing right there saying, come on, introduce me, get me into the conversation. Because if I can be introduced in the conversation, if somehow you can do that, then I can move into her life just like I've moved into your life. It really is that simple. Now, I can't do the miracles. You can't do the miracles, but Jesus can do the miracles. But if I don't bring Jesus into the conversation, he can't come and do them. You see? And most of the time, we leave Jesus out of the conversation. Like, well, I'm really glad that Jesus and I have a close relationship. I'm really glad that Jesus and I are close. But I'm not sure how anybody else is going to respond. And literally, what do I do by doing that? I deny Gina the opportunity to know Jesus. That means that I have made a conscious decision to deny her salvation, practically and literally, by my failure to introduce Jesus Christ. That's one of the reasons, this is heavy, but that's one of the reasons that there's scriptures that talk about like blood being upon our hands. You walk into a situation where Jesus is saying, come on, dude, introduce me, and you're making a conscious decision not to. Whoa. If she's got a major issue, and I've got the answer because I know Jesus, but I don't introduce Jesus into it, am I not liable and am I not culpable? Do I not share in the burden of responsibility when she continues in her suffering? Yes, I do. In fact, with that precedence, with that concept, not precedence, but with that, did you know that most law throughout the world will hold, if you've got an answer or if you could do something and you don't, most legal systems will hold you accountable because you don't act with the ability that you've got. Interesting, isn't it? And so, you know, when we were there, one of the things that just happens, everybody just so excited because we went with this like, hey, I want to introduce you to somebody. And we introduced Jesus to everybody that we could. And Jesus showed up every time.